Another episode of Canadian Mortgage Weekly. It's Thursday at 11:30, which means it's time for another episode. And this week we have episode 54. We're so excited to jump into the market and get into our topic. But before we jump into that, I just want to say hi to Joe. Thanks for joining us. And how are you doing today?
Oh, it's Sam. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, it's great to be live here again on episode 54. Thanks for the introduction. And yeah, it's warmer weather today, right? I was just looking outside and I'm noticing all the snow that we had a couple days ago has all melted away.
Mhm.
I mean, it's looking like a summer day in comparison to what we had a few days ago. So it's making me feel pretty good today.
Yeah, exactly. It honestly
Yeah.
feels like we're heading into spring. I think it's 16 here in Barrie, and like you're saying, it's definitely nice to not have that snow in the backyard. Um,
Yeah. How are you doing today, Sam?
yeah, I'm doing good. I'm excited for the episode today, and again with the warmer weather, it's made it easier because we got a new puppy for Christmas, so house training outside was a bit difficult in the cold, windy weather. But now that it's a bit warmer and he can see the grass, it's an easy day. So we're happy for that.
That's great. Yes. And I remember you went to go pick up your puppy there this week. So
Mhm.
that's great. So like did do you have a name for your puppy?
Yes, so his name's Milo.
Milo. That's awesome. So hello Milo. We'll have to get him on the episode sometime in the future.
Yeah, that's right. We'll bring him on.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that's awesome news. So that's always an adjustment. I remember when we got our pets, it was an adjustment for us and
Mhm.
getting all that done. So does Milo have a spot in your place yet that he's kind of picked out?
Yeah, we've got him. He's pretty well crate trained now. So
Yeah.
whenever, he's kind of getting lazy or we don't really have time to play with him, he'll go have a nap in the old crate, which has been nice because, yeah, it's definitely pretty full on when you get the puppy and all he does is want to play. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's great though that
Mhm.
you have that. And with the pandemic and everything, it's a great little companion to have. I know that I work from home and just sometimes it can get kind of alone here in my little
Mhm.
office here while I'm working, where the radio does keep me company, but only to a certain extent.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, really excited about today's episode 54. We have our Christmas special coming up next week, which I'm pretty
Mhm.
pumped about. A lot of good stuff planned for that there, Sam.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then we got this week's episode, which, really, I'm really excited about it. And I think we're gonna go into some of the data here, but it's
Mhm.
5 things that we think here could push house prices further in 2022, and something that I really think is kind of on a lot of people's minds right now as they go into the new year, especially anyone looking to buy or purchase a home or even refinance. It's all on their mind right now. What's going to happen with house prices?
Yeah, and I mean, there's been honestly even a lot of changes as we get into the market stats. There's been quite a few changes since even last week's video, which all sort of lead us to the prediction or the view that the new year could be a different ball game, and we could see those house prices increasing.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yes. And that's the thing, right? We want to be able to bring those forward to all the viewers today, just to be able to give you an opportunity to analyze the market yourself as well. Like there's us, there's all the articles you see, but it really comes down to where do you think the market's going to go uh, based on all the information. And we're hoping to really forecast, not really forecast, but illustrate that information today for all of us today
Hmm.
as we chat about what's happening, you know, with what we think is happening going into 2022. It's going to be a really interesting year, Sam. And
Hmm.
um, yeah, let's just get right into the presentation.
Yeah, let's dive into to some of the data that we've been seeing on our end as we're looking at things that are going to be pushing the the house price is higher. But before we get into that, we do like to do a market update, which actually you're going to see follow into, those reasons that will push the house prices higher. And the first thing that we like to look at on Canadian Mortgage Weekly is, of course, the 5-year bond yield. And there's been some interesting changes from last week, from what we were seeing heading into November.
Yeah, there really has, Sam. I'm glad you brought this chart up because we can really focus on how from September to November we saw a huge spike in the bond yield there, over 50 basis points of an increase there, which really pushed 5-year fixed rates up higher, higher than those summer lows that we had seen. And now we're seeing that bond yield drop all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly. It's come down quite high too. I know that today's bond yield rate dropped to 1.27 when, the last week that we reported it was up at 1.4. So, you can see that little dip as it's happening. Weren't sure. We were keeping our eye on, the previous high in earlier November to see if we'd break that and we'd see a climb, but it looks like we're seeing the opposite. It's in a bit of a valley now.
It is in a little bit of a valley now. We're unsure where this is going to really head, but I think there's going to be a lot of influence from market conditions on what's happening with the pandemic right now, variants and closures and market stability, really. So with the bond yield though going down, it could push fixed rates lower, and it's going to really come to which lender will be the first one to start lowering their fixed rates again, because we have seen that retreat of about 25 basis points now from that high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, really interesting stats there.
Yeah. And taking a look over at the CDOR rate there to give a bit of an insight on what the variable rate might have in store for us for the new year. It did dip slightly, not a huge change from what we reported on last week. But across the sort of the benchmark percentages that we watch for rate indications, it looks like all of them are lowering, which, if we see that trend follow through over the new year into the spring market, it could produce some lower rates.
It really could, yes. And it'll be really interesting to watch the CDOR rate going forward because of that, because it'll be interesting to see what happens with the variable rate. I know we've seen record low variable rates, and with the spread right now between the variable and the fixed, with 1/3 of Canadians taking a variable rate.
That's right.
It's going to be really fascinating to see where this takes us, because will the variable rate also adjust lower? Will we be able to secure clients even lower rates in the new year? That will be absolutely fantastic, because the variable rate has been such a popular mortgage with our clients this year.
Yeah, it really has. There's been such a shift as the gap between fixed and variable has been stretching and growing. It's definitely pushed people, to go the variable route. And that leads us into actually really well that last week was the last Bank of Canada interest rate announcement, where they held that overnight rate the same for the entire year at the 0.25%, but keeping their monetary policy increase in spring. Now, I know that we had chatted about, maybe seeing that schedule delayed a bit, and maybe seeing it a little bit further in the year.
Yeah, we did see that actually, monetary policy increase, keeping monetary policy on for increase until spring 2022. But yeah, the correction, next announcement, 26th of January 2022. Is that for the schedule change there, Sam? I'm not sure there.
Yes, yeah. So last week we had reported it as January 27th. So there's just a correction that the next announcement we're going to see is going to be on the 26th of January.
Yeah. But yes, as far as the staying the same, the rate, that was really good news for all variable rate holders. I mean, we have a lot of variable rate customers. They're probably thinking, oh, that's great news going into the new year, Christmas. We won't have to worry about mortgage rate changes. But yeah, with the way they're talking now, it almost seems like the sentiment is changing slightly. Maybe to forecast for a longer timeline.
Yeah, exactly. I know that there's been new changes over the last little while that may have some effects on, where they were heading into the fall, into the winter season, into this last announcement. I think there's been some changes that they did note in the policy as well. So yeah, it definitely seems like there's a bit of unsurety in where the Bank of Canada interest rate is going to be going.
Yeah. So with those market conditions that will impact it, just keep in touch with Canadian Mortgage Weekly right here on Thursdays at 11:30. But things to watch out for will be just to see how the variant plays out. I know that Omicron is playing out right now with many countries, and it's causing a lot of markets to react. So if that continues to happen, then we could see rates possibly, kind of stay where they are at, because increasing rates won't really help an economy that reacts to variants like that. But if our economy stays strong through the variant and continues plugging forward, which is definitely a possibility, we've seen a lot of transition happen to work from home, and people being able to adapt to a different way of running business. We could see that economy just full force forward. It's going to be interesting to see. But with the way that it's talking right now, we could see a future rate increase further down the line rather than spring, I'm guessing, at this point, 2022.
Yeah. And another thing that we've seen, maintaining strong this year, as we have seen it increase yet again, is actually the national average house price. We had been reporting that it came in for October 2021 at about 716 or 718 for the month, but they've released the average from November 2021, which did another jump to just over $720,000 for the average home.
This is a very, you can see this graph, and it's trending upwards in a tremendous way. Those house prices, even though we have those peaks and valleys, it's just trending upwards. It's a straight line almost when you taking out those peaks and valleys. But yeah, with that new high, I mean, that keeps building equity for everyone. I mean, anyone that owns a home right now will have even higher equity positions with that average price going higher. It makes me feel bad for everyone trying to get into the market right now, because this is hard for anyone that's a first-time home buyer or finding themselves to be trying to get back into the market after being out of the market for a while. House prices have gone so high in this direction, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens next year.
Yeah, that's right. We're ending the year off on another high. I know that last spring was wild, and we saw a very high jump. So again, we'll have to see what's in store, and chatting a bit about the factors that go into that brings us to our topic, the meat of today's video, where we chat about the 5 things that are going to be, or at least that we're thinking are going to push those house prices higher in 2022.
That's great. Yeah, we've been sort of hinting them a little bit through the presentation, but yes, let's kind of go right into it, Sam, because we want to give our viewers where we think we sit on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the number one, not the number one thing, but number one on our list is something that we had seen, in 2020 into 2021, and haven't seen, much of a change. It's just supply issues. I know that a lot of the realtors that, we've been doing webinars with, we've been chatting with, a heavy factor in getting people into houses and really affecting the price point is just the supply issue, that there's not enough supply for the demand that we're seeing.
Exactly right, Sam. And factors that are contributing to the supply issues are not going unnoticed. I mean, we're having housing starts go lower every year, which does not help the housing supply.
Mhm.
Oh, which you have there. And
Mhm.
sorry to jump ahead there. But yeah, the other supply issues there being that we are at record low inventory right now for
Mhm.
all the houses available on realtor.ca. We're seeing realtors post all across social media, you know, inventory at record lows. We really don't have much right now. And
Mhm.
it's really not helping buyers that are getting into the market because there's not much selection. So the selection that is there, it's just there's more demand for what is there.
Yeah, that's right. And I know that when we covered the election in one of our previous episodes, we did see that part of the Liberal Party platform, I believe it was to make it easier for municipalities to advance their building schedule. So, again, hopefully that's something that we will see in the future with those low housing starts, that, once that policy, assuming they keep with it and it takes effect, maybe that could help. But in terms of right now, yeah, that low housing starts and supply issues is really keeping us in a tough spot.
Yeah, it really is. Um, we'll have to see, like you're saying, with the housing starts, how we go forward. Another issue going forward that will push housing prices higher. I think, I don't know if we have it as a next item here, but will be immigration. And I know that immigration rates are projected to maintain their high targets, if not be more aggressive going forward into the
Mhm.
future years. Our government is really pro-immigration.
Mhm.
And with that, we have to consider how is that going to affect our housing issue? And that's just going to put a greater demand on the already low supply that
Mhm.
is out there. Everyone that's coming into the country seems to also have a higher net worth, and they have the
Mhm.
ability to buy homes. I know there's express entry available to individuals coming in from overseas that have capital ready to invest in Canada, and then
Mhm.
Canadians that do come, or new Canadians that want to buy a home in Canada have a great program to be able to buy a home with minimal credit,
Yep.
5% down. It's a very
Mhm.
good program. The New to Canada program makes it very easy and a way for those who immigrate to Canada to buy homes. So they're encouraged to buy homes,
Mhm.
which further puts that constraint on that already low supply issue that we are having.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those are all, really, really good points um, regarding, yeah, the increase in house price. And something else that I know has been in the media a lot lately, it's hard to not hear about it these days, but the Omicron variant um, could be a factor in pushing house prices higher, because I think again they had noted it in the Bank of Canada's interest rate announcement when we did it last week, that the introduction of the new variant has put some uncertainty in the housing market, um, and we definitely saw an increase since the pandemic in housing prices and that demand. So it definitely could be an effect that will contribute to those higher house prices.
Yeah, it will definitely contribute to those higher prices if this continues to get out of hand. We're sort of in the beginning stages right now,
Mhm.
as this is being reported across the world. Not sure how much this is going to affect Canadians, but
Mhm.
we have a very very um sorry uh, uh very stable housing market and a
Mhm.
very stable workforce working from home. But the Omicron variant is something that we should keep an eye out on, and if it continues to influence the economy the way it is, we will have
Mhm.
to take that into account.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely leads into the last and final point of the Omicron variant, affecting and giving some lenders and definitely the Bank of Canada some indications that we might see the rates lower for longer. I know that before the variant had come out, the Bank of Canada had a pretty firm target for at least the variable rate, not increasing until the spring. But with the added uncertainty of the variant, and we were looking at the bond yield, we're looking at, hinting that rates are going to be or have the potential to lower. That's also going to give a higher demand for housing. We've seen the rates rising since the fall. So if it does have another dip and we get back to, the spring rates and even summer rates that we saw this past year, it could spike that demand again, for people who maybe want to get in before we see another rate increase.
Definitely. Could definitely spark a lot of demand. As you are saying, those looking to get in before the next rate increase, it will just give those folks a longer period of time if the rates are going to increase, but later to be able to get their pre-approvals in and get their rates locked in and further influence that housing market, especially into that busy season into the spring as people get going. And yeah, with the Omicron variant, if people do, if we do see any kind of lockdowns or anything, it's just going to further that work from home transition and really make a home more vital and important for all families in Canada. So anyone that doesn't have a home will want a home to be able to either work from home or for additional space. There's going to be greater demand that way. It's going to be really interesting to see this year playing out, especially if these rates stay low. I think rates will stay low into the summer of 2022 based on what's happening. It's based on all this. It's really evident. Yeah. There's also all these articles that we're seeing that are coming out on the news that are talking about house prices predicted to be predicted to increase next year. I'm seeing numbers 10%, 15%, 14%. So I know that we'll report those on our reaction videos going forward, but we'll have to see that on a different day.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I think looking at house prices, with the potential of going higher, it's definitely, a good time as we round off into the end of the year, starting the next year, to give us a call and be prepared for, if the house prices increase, if we see rates drop, the best position to be is in a prepared position. So definitely reach out to our office for any, mortgage help, getting pre-approved, running numbers, and answering any questions. You can always give us a call. Joe, myself, and Terry Lynn would love to chat with you, about any concerns or questions you have about the market. I know that, there's always lots of questions, especially if you're new to the market or you're just kind of wanting that inside track of, asking a mortgage professional, where the market is trending and getting yourself prepared for the future.
Exactly. Thanks everyone for watching. That was a great presentation there. Keep an eye out for rates and updates here on Canadian Mortgage Weekly. And thank you, Sam, for putting together that presentation. Sam Thompson, just to introduce you all to Sam, he's a mortgage agent living in the Barrie, Ontario area, originally from the Ottawa area, moved here just under 2 years ago, has been with us for the Mega Mortgage team now for about 1 year and 3/4, getting to that 2-year point. Sam, it's always great to have you on the show. And yeah, congratulations on that puppy again.
Yeah, thanks so much. And thanks for having me on the episode today. Yeah, I'm getting really close to that 2-year mark, just a few months shy. But of course, for anyone who doesn't know Joe, Joe's a mortgage broker in the Barrie Simcoe area, living in Aurelia with his wife and 2 kids and over 11 years in the industry, a few more years longer than I've been in, and definitely super knowledgeable about mortgages. So thanks for having me, and it was good to be a part of today's video, Joe.
Yeah, always a good video to do with you, Sam. And thanks for watching. Please like, comment, share. And if you ever have any questions that are specific to your mortgage situation, feel free to give us a direct message on social media or give us a call or email. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week on our Christmas special, episode 55, our last episode for 2021. We're really excited, and we'll see